there, and welcome back to the Big Ideas Theater. I'm Ed Highland. Sitting here talking with TJ Fisher. TJ, thanks so much for coming by. Now, TJ has a really interesting story. I'll let you start off. First of all, just for those in the audience who may not know who you are, race car driver, but it's more than that. So give us the quick pitch there.
Well, thanks for the introduction, and thanks for having me here. But yeah, my name's TJ Fisher. I'm a race car driver. I'm driving in the Mazda Road to Indy, which is the ladder system to IndyCar. And I'm a lifelong asthmatic. And in 2015, I had an asthma attack in the race car during a race.
And that's, I mean, obviously a life-changing, potentially life-threatening, obviously, experience. Can you give us well, first, let me back up just a tiny bit. Driving, a vehicle, high speeds, and being an asthmatic, you would have medications. First of all, how do they handle that in terms of what you're allowed to take and how you take it?
Right, so you are allowed, if you have a medical diagnosis, you're allowed a certain amount of, steroids, as it were, in order to kind of control my asthma. And so it works perfectly well with, the racing system. It's something where it's trace amounts and it's just enough for my lungs. And so they look for if you have a medical diagnosis.
Sure.
And for me, it all became part of, in 2015, was just controlling it, finding a way to understand why are my symptoms getting worse and what I can do to make it better.
Now, when you had the incident, you were able to pull off, everything was okay there?
I was, I guess, dumb enough to continue, and I ended up finishing the race. It was a scary moment because I didn't fully realize when you're in a racing mode, you kind of, you're in like an attack mode, and you're in flow. You don't actually think. And so when I was having this, I had to kind of consciously be aware of it, but my racing instincts kept telling me to stay out. And so I just kept staying out, and I was slowly losing, I was just kind of losing, the oxygen in my brain and everything. And, and it was like normal motor functions that for us racing drivers, shifting, it's not like that difficult of a process. For me, it was becoming very difficult. That's how I knew it was getting bad. And
it's not like you drive with one hand and use the inhaler with the other.
Right. Yeah, and at the time I didn't have my inhaler in the car. Again, like when I was younger, I didn't really understand, I think, how much control you need to have. And I always thought I could step in if it got that bad. I always thought I had kind of that control over it, and it made me feel powerless. And so that's where I took a step back after it, and I thought, okay, I want to make a difference in this space, and that's where Project O2 kind of came about.
That's where I was going. Tell us a little bit about it. You said it was just a little while after that that you and a partner got together and came up with the idea.
Right. So yeah, it was my driver coach at the time in 2016. He's in marketing as well, and he had no idea. But I was at one test. I was kind of struggling to breathe, taking my inhaler, and he was like, "Oh, what? You're taking an inhaler? What's that for?" And I said, "Oh, I have asthma, and it's hard to breathe right now." And he was blown away that I had asthma. He had no idea. And he didn't really think you could do racing, at this high speed environment with asthma. And so we kind of put our brains together and was like, hey, we want to do something with this and, make a difference and provide education and the right tools, showing that you can do what you want to do, your passion. You don't have to let asthma define you.
And so you essentially go on a speaking tour to talk to folks? How are you spreading the word?
Right, so I think it starts with the racing and at the races that we're doing. We had a booth at this past year, 2017. And it was great just to get that organic person-to-person connection. And you find out there's so many people that have asthma. And I mean, it's kind of a sad thing, but often, even if they don't have asthma, generally people know someone that does. And they're like, oh wow, I need to grab this for my buddy or something, and that organic outreach has been really helpful, definitely.
Can you give us some thoughts? You're about, as I understand, about this far from the IndyCar circuit, right?
Yes.
So we're hoping to make that next step and actually perhaps even give you a bigger platform, not only for your career, but also for talking about asthma.
Right, yeah. So next year I'll be in Indy Lights, and hopefully 2 years I'll be in the Indy 500. And so that'll give us a really good platform where we can really, I think, make a difference with what we're doing. And and keep spreading the word and providing that education. It's always inspiring for me to do it, and you hear all these different stories, and it just kind of reinvigorates me to like, okay, I need to dive into this and learn a little bit more so I can spread the word.
Well, it's got to be inspiring to other folks with asthma as well to see you out there doing so well and so successful. TJ, continued success. We'll look forward to following your exploits on the circuit.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And this is the Big Ideas Theater, sponsored by Draeger.